Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good whatever time of day it may be for you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Layback Gamer, and we have some balance patches released today. So I already took a look at them, and I have a few opinions on them already. And it's just two cards, as we can see here, Alfliq Conjurer and Luzrah-gro-Shar. Now I had heard that they were looking at changes to both of these cards, so it doesn't really surprise me that that these changes were coming. I personally was expecting them to come a little bit later, like say, like closer to the next expansion, or maybe we get an expansion announcement and then see these balance changes. Yeah. Anyways, now I've taken a look at them, and one of them I agree with, and the other one I'm a little impartial on. So let's get started. With Alfliq Conjurer, the change coming to it is that it's going to become a 3/3 instead of a 3/4, and Luzrah-gro-Shar has, instead of having a +2/+2, it's +1/+1. Now, if you have heard me rant on about this, you know I've said that this is a very strong card, possibly overpowered at times. And this everybody, I'm pretty sure everybody's seen that this can get rather out of control, especially when you combined it with Conjure, because that's +4/+4 you're giving Luzrah, and +2/+2 you're giving to the Conjure and the Storm Atronach. So, personally, on a personal note, with Luzrah, 100%, I like the change. I don't think, I like the change. It's good. Perhaps the best answer that I could think of, well, probably the best answer anybody would have, but this change, 100% agree, perfect change for it. You don't hit one of the big advantages about having Luzrah, and it was one thing that I kind of thought was it costs low, so I was thinking, okay, maybe if we increase the cost by a little bit, but no, that would not do, because oftentimes you're just going to play this turn 5 or turn 4 if you have the ring, and then use the ring to get a 6 cost out like Alfliq Conjure. So cost change probably wouldn't have done it. Changing the attack and health of Luzrah, while that might have done something, it wouldn't have been the right way to go. In the long run, I think. So yeah, I agree with this change. Having it only gain +1/+1 cuts it down from being able to stack to ridiculous heights. I think I had a game showcase that Luzrah can get really, really powerful if left out, if you can't control it. So yeah, good thing that they changed it. Now, in the case of Alfliq Conjurer, I still don't think it really mattered. Like the 4 health to 3, while yes, that would make it a little bit easier to kill. I'm not sure I don't think that's the right change you had to make here. I'd offer a suggestion for Alfliq Conjurer, and that is you give it somewhat of a similar theme to, um, you get it somewhat like Get Mage's Guild Conjure, where instead of the expertise, you give it the consume version of that. So if you consume a creature, you get a Flame Atronach. If you consume a Flame Atronach, you get a Frost Atronach. And from Frost, you get Storm, and Storm, you get Lava. And if you consume a Lava, you can get another Lava Atronach, let's say. I think that would have been a bit more of an appropriate choice, because now it offers a little bit of, like, you have to actually now use the Atronachs a bit more. Say, now it would kind of suck if, say, you get it. Maybe it might not have been that might not have been a good idea for a change, because then in the case of that, you just have to get lucky on a High Rock Summoner, get a Storm Atronach, and poof, now you got a Lava Atronach on turn 6, which, well, actually turn 7, and you would definitely have you'd have to set that up, and even I'm not sure how that would work, but I think it would be a better change than what they did here. Actually, now that I think of it, yeah, that would be a good change, because in the case of another lot, an all ways to summon Lava Atronachs. It costs 7 to summon one on the base, or with Mighty Conjuring, you require a 5-cost creature to summon a Lava Atronach, or I mean a 5 attack creature. And when you could play a Alfliq Conjurer with a Storm Atronach, you would, unless you have the ring, you could play it on. You'd play Storm Atronach on turn 6, and then consume it with the Alfliq Conjurer once it dies to get a Lava Atronach off of it. Actually, now that I think about it, that probably would have been a better change than what we got. All honesty, that's what I don't know. That's my opinion. Now down here, they go into a little more detail with some of their stuff on imbalance changes. They believe that they've succeeded with this expansion. There's a healthy mix of control, aggro, and mid-range decks across ladder and tournament play. I don't know about tournament play, but in terms of ladder, it might be a little more favored to the aggro side, but for the most part, there is a pretty good balance. There's a fairly healthy mix. And I suppose healthy mix isn't like 33%, 33%, 33%, or 33.33 across the board. I assume it could be like, say, there's a 30% control, maybe a 33%, 34% on mid-range, and 35% on aggro. Like, as long as the percentage change isn't drastic, like there's a 10% control, there's a 80, no, not 80, that's a little too high. There's a 60% mid aggro, and there's a 30% mid-range. I think that in terms of healthy mix, it is definitely a lot closer to the perfect three-way on a three split on a circle. And I would agree with that. I agree that it is in a pretty good state at the moment. I can't speak for tournament play, but ladder, I can agree with that. Then they go into intelligence core of Atronach and wards is becoming a little more prevalent than they had hoped. In terms of Atronachs, with the recent addition of Alfliq Conjurer, I would agree with that. It's making the deck a little more viable, or a mass Atronach viable deck, and left out of control, it could definitely go. But it is causing some cards to see play that originally didn't see play, such as, I think, the Mages Guild. Is it Retreat or Hole? I don't know. It's a support that you play 2 actions, you get a random Atronach. I don't think that card saw a lot of play. So the fact that we're seeing it now it's pretty nice. We're seeing those kinds of cards. We're seeing that card now. Mages Guild or Conjure. Atronach, I don't remember. It's the 6-cost 3/3 that puts 3 Lava Atronachs in the deck, and when you draw one, or when you play an Atronach, it summons a copy in the other lane. I forget what that one is. I don't remember. So it's seen, like, a couple of times I've seen like Mages Guild Conjure be played. Now, granted, it's not often, but the occasional time that you do see that and you can get it to work, it results in something pretty good. Like, you could get some pretty good move. I've even showed it off that if left unchecked, it can spiral out of control, and you can get those really powerful Atronachs. I even joked, I said, you know what would be really cool is if after the expertise, like after the Lava Atronach, it summons an Iron Atronach. I've joked about that. At least I think I did. I don't know. Sometimes I don't remember my own jokes, but anyways, in terms of Atronachs being more prevalent, that's kind of on the Alfliq Conjurer. It coming into the game really stepped them up quite a bit. And I think they still have some time to fix that, because with what I think is going to be the Oblivion themed expansions coming around the corner, I think I've made a complete different, or it's either was a tangent, but I have gone into detail on what I think each of the different themes are based on the pictures. One of them showed an Oblivion Gate, and I said that's going to be the Cyrodiil side of Oblivion. We're not going into the Deadlands or getting a lot of Oblivion, like creatures from the Plains of Oblivion just yet, because the next one showcased I think it was like part of the Dremora Markinaz cards, and Dremora were very prominent in Oblivion as being the main soldiers of Mehrunes Dagon living in the Deadlands. So that's why I said that's expansion, which is the one that's going to be in the wintertime. That's when we're going to see all these Daedra. And because there were Atronachs in that game, I think we might see one or two Atronachs being added in. Like something could be say a Raging Fire Atronach or a Cyclone Storm Atronach, because in Elder Scrolls 4, whenever a Storm Atronach would move around, it looked like it was generating a tornado with its body would break into smaller rocks, and it would look like a tornado moving with a head in the center of it. So I think we could see something along the lines of that. And of course, the Frost Atronachs looked absolutely ridiculous in that game. I definitely like the Frost Atronachs of Skyrim a lot better. But yeah, we're going to possibly be seeing that in the future. So I think they have some time to fix up the Atronachs. Now, in terms of wards, ah. See, I think wards have been a problem for a lot longer than Atronachs have been a problem for. And it's really just has to do with its mechanic. I don't know what I would change on the ward, or if I would change any of the ward creatures, because if you did, you're effectively destroying. Well, ward crafter maybe not so much. If you reduce it, say, to a 1/1 that can give a creature a ward, I don't think it would be the end of the world for that card, because its main purpose, give somebody a ward. But cards like the Windkeep Spell Sword, or I think that's the name of the card. It's 2 mana, or 2 magicka, 2/2 that has ward. It's endurance. You see it in almost every aggro warrior, sorcerer, basically almost any deck that runs endurance. A card like that, if it were to get a nerf to say a 1/2, or well, if it comes with a 2/1, then it's a slightly worse ward crafter. But still, you get my point. If you were to nerf something like that, like the stats on all the cards, some of them it would outright kill completely, and some of them would still see some play, but not nearly as much. And you can't really nerf the mechanic ward, because what would you change it to? Like, it prevents damage the first time a creature takes damage, and I don't know what I would do for that. So ward has definitely been a lot more of a more prevalent than Atronachs have, but I do agree that both of them are seeing a lot of play. They're hoping to bring back some diversity of mid-range and control decks by reducing Alfliq Conjurer. Arguably, it didn't really. It's not too much of an effect. Like, now you can kill it with the 3 attack creatures or a crushing blow. If it gets the Storm Atronach out, it's done its job and it now guards. Another change that you could make to Alfliq Conjurer is you give it the similar treatment to that Manacora got, where it used to be a 10 mana 5, or not 5, 6/6 with guard, and it destroys a creature. You take away the guard off of Alfliq Conjurer, and now I think kind of balanced it a bit more, because now you can't use it to defend yourself anymore. So that could be another change that it could tack alongside the I think should have been tacked alongside the health. Maybe it be the only change that came with it. You just strip the guard off of it, and it's allowed to keep the 4 health. That way, you can't use it to defend yourself. But if you happen to live the turn, you now got a 3/4 that can trade with a lot of weak creatures or a couple of decent sized creatures, and say a Storm Atronach that can go toe to toe with the big guys. They believe it's in a healthy position. They believe metagame's currently in a healthy position. I still agree with that. A couple of small changes rather than radical ones that they've had in the past. I don't know if it's going to opt for different flavors of mid-range. Well, I suppose decks that run Luzrah, the mid-range, it might force them to take a bit of a different approach, or maybe only play a certain set of classes. if you still have Luzrah and then play Alfliq Conjurer, you're still getting quite a bit of power bonus with it. So I think we'd have to wait and see on really what effect. I think the decks that run Luzrah and try to use her are going to definitely see a change. I don't think I think the decks that run Conjure may see situational changes, but they're not going to see a all-around change. Not like what's going to happen with Luzrah. So I think they do need to keep thinking about Alfliq Conjurer, maybe just try removing the guard and adding the health back on. I think that'd be a bit of a better change. Or the one that I suggest before, where you have it kind of act like a Mage's Guild Conjure, except in the line of consuming, where it consumes a creature. If it consumes a specific Atronach, it summons the upgraded version of that. So, yeah, I think that's really all I wanted to say. I'm kind of hoping that we start to see like talks of a new expansion coming up soon, because I believe it's supposed to be released sometime in September, and the winter expansion is going to release, because believe they said all of it's going to be released this year. So the winter expansion is probably going to release maybe during the Christmas break or just before that, so that they have some time to, when they're going out shopping for gifts, they might say, "Hey, I'll get him an iTunes. I can get my friend an iTunes card. He really likes Legends, and he wants to buy an expansion." So I think that's when that's going to happen, and then fall time probably going to be in September, October at the latest. But if they were to put it in October, they may as well save that the other expansion for the next year. So, anyways, that's my thoughts. Very long-winded, as always, with patch notes, long-winded. I'm surprised that I actually agree with it, that I'm in agreement 100% with this. It doesn't happen every day. And I appreciate them going like a couple of small changes over a drastic one. If we'd go ahead and take a look at, say, was it this one here? Was it this one? There was one that introduced, no, that's not a card change. Oh, it's balance changes with patch. Okay, so I'm trying to look for balance changes. There is one, I don't know if it was the last one. Oh, it might have been, actually, it might have been this one. Yeah, this one where we got like a ton of, a bunch of them. I think about 7 or 8 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got 9, almost 10 card change. 9. We got a lot compared to this month's, which was this time around, which was only 2. So I can appreciate them trying to balance it out and only taking small approaches. I think in the case of Conjure, you could have possibly have gone a little bit more, but we'll have to see what what these changes are going to do for those decks. I still don't think it's going to really affect Alfliq Conjure that much. Situational, yes, but general, no. And Luzrah, perfect change. You still give the card great potential to, grow into a really big creature, but at the same time, you're kind of reducing how quickly they can do that. So, yeah, that's going to do it for today. I'm going to stop before I continue ranting on for 20, 30 minutes. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button if you really enjoyed. As all balance changes, let me know what you think in the comments section below. Do you agree with these changes? Do you disagree? Do you agree with maybe a couple of suggestions that I had for Alfliq Conjurer? Do you disagree with those? What would you have changed? And is there another card that hasn't been mentioned here right now in the game that you would wish to be changed? Let me know that in the comments. And until next time, take it easy.